Hello everyone. Something really interesting happened at work today and I wanted to make a video about it. I don't think I've ever made a video after work except for maybe my first day at work. Even then I'm not really sure. Yeah, like I don't really do this very often, but I wanted to do it now because I wanted it to be fresh in my mind for when I make the video. So this happened today. I met this girl at work. The reason was because she had her head planted on the table. Um and like not like head down with her arms like this sleeping or whatever, like just head face down on the table, and it was kind of odd. And like, so my coworkers asked me to go ask her if she was okay. She was in the lobby, and I'm a bit cold. I'm gonna bundle up. um she like she was honestly a very interesting girl. Like, she was just telling me, like, I think she was praying. I think that's why she had her head on the table. Like, instead of doing this, she just fully planted her head on the table. I don't really know. But the reason why I say I think she was praying was because she's basically very obsessed with Christianity. She told me that she doesn't identify as religious but instead spiritual, but she is a very spiritual person. So I say obsessed in like a neutral way, not in a negative way. I really have like neutral to positive feelings about her, with a side of like uncertainty and sorry, I'm like shivering, so if my voice trembles it's cuz it's like it's only 60 degrees but I just feel cold. Maybe I'm dehydrated. Sometimes when you feel cold but it's not like super cold, it's cuz you're dehydrated. Anyway, um so yeah, like she told me about her faith and how like for her she just gets messages from God like all the time. And so like I live in the Bible Belt. I live in Alabama, so like this wasn't really a shock to me. I just mostly assume everyone I come into contact with is Christian, because that's like a reasonable assumption to make when you live in the South. So anyway, but yeah, she's very Christian, and she says that she gets messages from God every day. She thought that God probably like influenced me to meet her. um, I told her that I'm atheist, and she wasn't really like trying to change me, as far as I know. But like, she did want to talk to me about God and stuff, but not like in a way where she wants to tell me not to be an atheist, I guess. Like, she was telling me that she was just really curious to learn about like other faiths, including Muslim faith, like Islam. And I don't know about other ones, but like that was the one that she mentioned because I think Christians tend to like sometimes be weird about Muslims, but she didn't seem judgmental because she wasn't judging me. She just told me that she met some Muslim people um at some point and she talked to them and stuff, and she used terms like Muslim people, which means something to me cuz like when someone doesn't use language that involves the word people, that can mean that they don't see them as people, you know? Um like saying gays instead of gay people or blacks instead of black people. I mean, I think saying Muslims isn't always negative. Like, I kind of see that one as more neutral, kind of like saying Jews. Like, I think those are considered neutral. But I'm not a Jew or a Muslim, so I can be totally wrong. I just think that they're neutral, but I don't know. So, same as how I was saying she's like obsessed with Christianity. I don't mean it in a negative way, you know? But anyway, so yeah, she doesn't seem like she's trying to change people. Like she said flat out point blank, it's not my job to change people. And I think that's true. Like, she's not God. And I think she realizes that, and she has humbleness and humility, which is something that I respect, you know? But she does think that, like, God controls a lot of her life and her decisions. But, so little things were interesting to me, like, she has tattoos on her, and I asked her if she thinks that's a sin, but she said, no, I don't think God would, like, care whether or not you tattoo yourself, but also she doesn't think that God would like compel her to tattoo herself. He wouldn't like say tell her to stick a needle in her body. And that actually meant a lot to me because like if she's open-minded enough to think that tattoos are okay, but also like smart enough to not listen, to not like think that the voice of God would compel her to do something dangerous, like put a needle in your body. I think that's smart, you know? Not to say that tattoos are inherently dangerous. I have a tattoo. Um, but like, I am glad that like she has some amount of sense when it comes to like whatever messages she's getting. But I do think that she might be suffering from mental illness. But I didn't say that. And she might think the very same thing about me because she did mention things about mental illness, like how she used to suffer from anxiety and depression, but that like Christ helped her with that. And that was one of the like kind of things because I think that religion can be detrimental to people's mental health, and I think she might be an example of it because she thinks that faith healed her mental illness. And the thing about mental illness is it's just it does faith can help you. I do think that, and I don't want to change her. Like, that was something I was upfront about. I was like, I would never try to change you, and I expect the same courtesy from you. I don't really want to become a Christian, and I would never try to, like, remove your faith. So, and she was cool with that, and, she respected that, like, I wouldn't probably want to come to church with her, but I would not mind hanging out outside of work, because I, like, gave her my number. But we'll get into that in a second. But yeah, like, I didn't tell her that I think she's mentally ill, but I'm not positive that she is, but she has told me that, like, she had demons in her and she saw demons or something like that, and, like, she was exorcised, or somehow the demons were removed. I don't think she used the word exorcise or exorcism, but it might have been something like that. Um, I'm not really sure, but anyway, yeah, like, so she's had some intense experiences, and I think that's one of the reasons why I was kind of drawn to her. This conversation did get in the way of workflow because we talked and talked, but yeah, like it was a bit distracting, but she seemed kind of like she wanted attention. Like she seemed almost lonely, to be honest, but I don't want to like sound condescending or anything because like I was doing this out of loneliness as well. I'm not an incredibly lonely person because like I have friends in and outside of the internet as well as in and outside of work. So that's very much a good thing that I can say that and that's true. But that being said, I still feel lonely sometimes. And like it was kind of interesting to just see what life was like from the other side. I've always been interested in religion in some capacity. And it seems like she's the same way. Like, she's very curious about other faiths and other perspectives and doesn't necessarily want to change people, just wants everything to happen as it is, you know? Like, she's not super active when it comes to, like, who's religious and who's spiritual and who's not. She just has her own spirituality, and, she seemed nice to me, but there was a few things. So the first thing is, she almost seemed like she laughed at me when she first saw me. I was fussing with my headset and my hat. I was trying to like pick out bits of hair from like the part that gets covered up by the hat and the headset. So like I wanted my hair to stick out outside of that, if that makes sense, and like it sort of looked funny to watch. So it seemed like she was maybe giggling at me, but it was hard to tell. Um but yeah, like she might have been laughing at something else, but it seemed like she was looking at me. So she might have been laughing at me, but she also did seem like genuinely nice when we spoke. And I don't say that because like I mean I can be bad about social cues, but like she seemed nice and she said repeatedly that I am so nice. You're so nice, she kept saying. And I think it just seemed genuine. But then at this other point, she so like I went into the bathroom after she had left, and there was a napkin where I had wrote down my phone number because she asked for my phone number, and it was in the trash. And that could be that she just threw it away and even wanted me to see it, otherwise she wouldn't have put it at the top of the trash. But maybe she just wasn't thinking, and maybe she actually put the number in her phone. However, I haven't received a message from her. However, it was very late at night then, and I was still working, so maybe she just thought, yeah, now's not a good time. So anyway, but another thing is that she came back. She came through the drive-through because she actually didn't order any food in the restaurant. She just got a water, but then she came through the drive-through and got some Cinnabon delights. So then we talked more about things that we I don't know, just more about life. I asked her about her hair cuz she has really pretty hair. She has like long curly blonde hair. I asked her if it was natural or not. And, I guess sometimes people are like shy about saying whether or not their hair is natural. And that might be more touchy if you're a Christian. But we had already talked about things with your appearance. Like she complimented my purple hair and um I was like complimentary about her hair. I was like, it's very pretty. Is it really naturally like that? Because like it looked natural. It really did, but also like so beautiful that like maybe it wasn't. And I mean what I'm saying, I have a positive opinion of her, but I'm not sure if she has a positive opinion of me. She came back around to talk to me some more, so it seems like she really wants to talk to me. But you know how Christians are, like sometimes they can be kind of sneaky in the sense that they pretend like they don't want to change you, they don't want to force you to be religious or force you to go to church or force you to, not be a queer person, which she likely thinks I am because I am, and it's like really easy to tell. Um, they'll pretend like they accept you as you are, but then, they don't. So it could be like that. It could be like that. Or another little thing she said was like, sometimes God tells me to like actually text them back and sometimes not. So, that was like something she kind of threw in very offhandedly, and I didn't really think about it until I found that note in the trash. And some of you might be thinking, like, oh, Sid, you're so silly. Why would you even think that she would message you back at all? Like, you shouldn't have even tried with this person. You're too nice. You're too naive. And I have a voice in my head that tells me that, not like in the literal sense, like how she has voices. Sorry, that was rude. That wasn't funny. Don't let me say things like that. Audience, why didn't you stop me? Anyway, um but voice from God. You get what I mean. But anyway, I don't know that she actually hears his voice or if she just like has thoughts about what he wants of her. Anyway, I think that she might be actually nice, and because there was the part where like she kept saying nice things to me, kept complimenting me and very friendly like, but and then she also came back a second time to keep talking to me. I don't know if she just thinks I'm really interesting, um, but like doesn't like me, or if she actually does like me and wants to be friends, but just didn't message me because it was so late at night and I had to keep working, so she knew it would be like a bad time. Like for all I know, she's asleep right now because it's almost 3:30 a.m. Um, and yeah, like, do I hope she messages me back? A little bit. I wouldn't be distraught if she didn't because I'm not like a deeply desperate person. Like I said, I do have other friends. I have two partners. I have family. I have acquaintances. But, and I'm sorry if my voice is trembling. I'm just like really cold and shaky. um, yeah. It's not even that cold. It's 60 degrees. Like, what the fuck? My southernness is really showing. Embarrassing. Oh my god, I don't want to be a southerner. I want to get out of here and move to California where it's actually really nice, but also not the South. Um anyway, um I guess that's all. The most embarrassing thing out of all of this, I don't remember her name. I don't remember her name. If I did, I wouldn't disclose it because I've already said way too much about her. And I would never, like, I don't think I can show her my YouTube channel, my Instagram. I don't think I would show her my social media. Like, I want to be in full control of the idea she has of me without any social media interference. Like, she can't see this. She can't see this. Nobody show her. But anyway, I wouldn't say her name in the video if I remembered it because, privacy. Very important, very important. So yeah, she was really pretty. I remember one thing was that like I asked her age. I told her I was 19. How old are you? And she's like, guess. So I say 21, you know? She looks slightly older than me, but also like she looks like someone who was a teenager a few years ago, you know? But no, she's 28. So she's someone who's 9 years older than me, almost a decade older than me. She does not look it, okay? And I mean, 28's still young as hell. Young as hell, okay? Young. Like, I'm not someone who just calls everybody old. I'm not that kind of person because I know that, like, for some people, the fear of aging is really serious. And by the way, it's okay to be old. Like, it's cool. You did it. You're surviving. You know, you're alive. You're experienced and wise. Maybe you still have a lot to learn at the same time. That's so exciting. Um, sometimes like you'll learn something at the exact same time as someone who's very young, and it might feel crazy, but it's also really normal. It's really human, and like, I don't know, nobody's perfect and nobody has anything figured out. Anything figured out. That's right. Nothing. We know nothing. um so yeah. That's my take on aging. But that being said, and also by the way, you can be very beautiful at any age, very attractive, very handsome. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. um I personally go for people that are close to my age. But that's like, fine because, if you're older, just go for someone who's, relatively close to your age. That's all you have to do. Not really that complicated. But yeah. So anyway, the lady was a very pretty girl. Very pretty woman, Um, and very nice. I hope that we can be friends. I'm obviously only interested in her as a friend. Because I'm not open in my relationship. It's poly, it's just not open. Um, because I'm devoted to the two people that I'm with. So, if you're wondering what I'm looking at, I'm actually looking at the lights that are on my wall. But you don't get to see. Ha! I mean, you might have seen them. I've shown my projector before, but it's just like showing over there instead of over here. But you can kind of see it, like it's on my head. You see that? The green dot. Yeah. Like, come back, green dot. Green dot. Yeah, there it is. Pointing at it. Alright, alright. Anyway, we're getting so distracted. This is stupid. Okay. I met a weird, interesting, nice girl at Taco Bell. Hopefully she's actually nice, but it was kind of genuinely hard to tell. Maybe she was just getting mixed messages from God? Maybe it wasn't just her who was giving mixed messages. Maybe God was too. Anyway, see ya.